before we even start, I got something to say too. I wanted to talk about this because I'm a little perplexed on this topic right here about politics, and I know that's your expertise. And I just want to hear the other brothers. What about this? About Kamala Harris? Like, how do y'all feel about Kamala Harris being nominated as the vice president nominee for the Democratic Party? Like, how I want to know how y'all feel. I haven't made up my mind yet. I'm gonna start with Horace, since you seem to be the expert in this topic.
Yeah, I've been in debates and arguments all week, my brothers. There's no secret that I once had a show called The Black Republican. Why? Because black people love drama. And so often people call in and say Black Republican, and they call in and get educated. You know, there's no secret that I've served on conservative boards. You know, I believe that black people should be on both sides of the table. Instead of a million black people being Democrats, I think you need to have representation on both sides of the board. But this is what I do every day. Before COVID, this is usually where I would make my meat and potatoes, consulting and doing political analysts for different campaigns or state campaigns. And the thing that I want to ask America, and I'm asking Black America, because a lot of statistics are what we take and we debate on, and it usually is wrong. There's too many people that are media educated. So I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm just saying that as Black Americans or African Americans, for once, we need to start focusing on us. Because everybody always talking about Black people need to, you know, fight for equal solidarity, right? But when we fighting for causes, we oftentimes by ourselves. So you'll see nothing against the gay groups and this group and that group. When we going through stuff, ain't nobody out there, you know. So to sum it all up, though, I want to go back to Kamala Harris, and this is where it gets tricky because we just talked about pro-blackness last week. And I want to pose a question that I did to somebody on social media the other day. I said, what has Donald Trump did to you personally? How has Donald Trump affected your life personally? How has he impacted your day-to-day living? And I'll come back to that in a minute. I'm like most Americans. They don't like Donald Trump. They don't like Mike Pence, who I think is the most racist person you ever meet in your history of life. They don't like Biden, who was once a segregationist, who told you straight up that, you know, that he didn't want his kids going to school in the racial jungle. But then we have Kamala Harris. Now, this is just me. I'm giving facts, pros and cons. Kamala Harris was a person for a long time that represent or seen herself as not being so much African American. Her birth certificate says Caucasian. She's a Black woman married to a white husband. She has white kids. And when she was the DA and the prosecutor and all those, to be honest, she locked up more Negroes than a little bit. She set a record. So this is where my conflict comes in, because I don't like neither one of them, but I am hoping, and I'm taking a pro-Black moment to hope that that same sister who did all this Caucasian stuff on this side, I'm hoping that because she went to a Black HBCU, the fact that she is in the AKAs, a Black sorority, I'm hoping that this sister has enough Blackness in her and enough Black people around her that will hold her accountable if she was to somehow get in office. Because as much as I despise Democratic policies, how can I be pro-Black if we finally got a Black person in the office that I think out of all the people remaining, she should have our best interests more than anybody else. Even though I know a lot of times they allow us to think that we have a choice, but every year we got the same two old white men in front of your eyes. Don't get me wrong. The Democrats, Republicans are two wings on the same bird. Just as many millionaire Democrats as there millionaire Republicans. I'm just saying neither one of them have served Black people well. Instead of arguing about who the president is, y'all need to find out who Mitch McConnell is, because that's the person that runs the country. That's the person that no matter who the president is, if he says it ain't passing what she says on TV, oh, ain't nothing passing, ain't nothing passing. Start learning about Mitch McConnell. Worry about who your governor is. Worry about your senator in your state, because that's the stuff that affects you day to day. Sorry to ramble on, but Zay.
No, that's what we wanted.
Bro, I'm conflicted. I'm actually right behind you because I too in the same boat. I'm just not a fan of what they're trying to put or appetite. What they're trying to get us to bite onto with the Biden Obama feel again of the Kamala Harris and Biden ticket. It just doesn't sit well with me. Also, what we spoke on last week, which you just made a very appealing point. How can we be pro-black when we do actually have a black woman that's in position to be the VP of the United States? Even though that same question that we had last week comes up, her family is of the opposite race. How can I feel like you have my best interest at hand when I know your track record with black men leaving the state of California? Probably some of the questions we need to ask are the people from Alameda County, which is in San Francisco, where she was. How did your people fare under her rule of thumb, so to speak, before moving forward? I'm not 100% sold on it. I know anything has to be better than what we have going on right now, because that's just total utter disarray. But just making sure that we are checking the agendas, making sure that they are toward what we need done for us as a race. And someone raised a question about reparations with her, and it was a interview that we saw, and she couldn't give a direct answer on that. And that also too just like a failing light for me for her with my vote. But I don't want to be one of the ones who actually cause the presidential race to go away because we vote on the wrong side, because we have different disdains for her. I don't know. What about you, Chris?
Well, I think that anytime a black person can reach this level in that community, in that career, then it's calls for black celebration. And I'm a person that likes to give people their flowers while they're living. So, Senator Harris, these are for you. I want to say congratulations. Now, I'm conflicted on this also. Well, first, I would be remiss if I don't bring up the fact that there's a story that says there was a group of prominent, influential black men that wrote a letter encouraging Joe Biden to pick a black female vice president. Now, there's a narrative going around that black men don't support black women. So I would like to bring that to light, that those influential black men could have easily picked another black man. They chose to pick a black woman. So I want to shed light on that. But I look at this as in three perspectives. First perspective, as a black man, a black father of a daughter. I would be disingenuous if I said I don't want my daughter to see something like that. My daughter was born in 2008. Her first president was Obama. I think it would be great for her to see a black woman as the vice president. Now, but that's just a personal thing. As a black man, like you said earlier, I think it's a good idea for us to ask her the question about her history as a district attorney, about the amount of black men that she locked up. I think that is something that she should be asked about and held accountable for. Now, I'm not a black woman, but if I was a black woman, and I encourage black women to ask her the question about when she was running for president, she said that she agreed with Joe Biden's accusers. Now, in the climate that we're in now, I hear a lot of talk about women complaining that people don't believe them when they speak up about sexual misconduct. So I think that's something that black women should ask her about. But at the same time, I think that I don't want to use my platform to bring down a black woman. So there's a lot of accomplishments that woman has. I suggest you guys take the time out to actually look to see a lot of the accomplishments that she has and a lot of the things that she has done for our community. But I just want to say that I'm very optimistic. I'm hopefully optimistic about what she has to offer us specifically, not minorities, not low income, Black specifically. But like I said, I would like to give her flowers and congratulate her while she's here. That's all I got.
Well, I asked the question because I did a lot of research myself, just because of a good fact you brought up that I didn't want to. I like to be knowledgeable before I tear somebody down or I build them up. So I wanted to see what side I'm standing on, because either way, she's not gonna sway my vote. Either way, because I'm an independent, so I'm gonna vote for the best party that has my personal reason. But I vote more on public county stuff and judges. I take that more serious than I do a presidential race. Let's just say that, because to me, I feel like Horace, that it doesn't matter who the president. I had a job for the last 12 years straight. It's like one president, not president. You know what I'm saying? In my county, the rules I have to go, those matter more to me. But as I started looking into this about Kamala, I've seen a lot of stuff. She was born from a Jamaican dad and Indian mom, but both of them, they met at a rally for equal right, like you know what I'm saying, like marching for justice. That's how they met. So she kind of got brought up in the system of knowing, of understanding, like we are disenfranchised people. As a people, her family's passion was that. Then she went to Howard, which is a Black university, and pledged. But then she gets on and said, I heard out of her mouth say that she went to become a prosecutor because she feels, as Horace said, we need people on both sides. And for me, understanding the court system a lot, growing up, I understand this too. People always really, really go hard on prosecutors, but you got to understand the prosecutor is the one who has your hand, hold your life in their hand, because they can pick what they choose to prosecute you on what level they do and everything. So it's good to have a good defense attorney, but if a prosecutor feel like they don't want to pick up the charges or actually charge you above than what you're doing, so it helps to have a Black person on the other side who's saying, yeah, you fucked up, but you ain't fucked up that bad, so I ain't gonna kill you. Then I looked at the disparity of, she put a whole bunch of Black men in jail. Well, I looked at, it's a lot. She put a lot of people in jail, period. Let's just say that. She did her job as a prosecutor. She tried to lock up anybody who was doing a crime. Right? If she felt like you was doing a crime, you was getting locked up. She was a prosecutor. She don't like crime. She's not from the streets. She don't live by those laws. She's a law-abiding, tax-paying citizen. She feel like if you don't pay your parking tickets and the law says go to jail, go to jail. But she locked up a lot of rapists too, a lot of child molesters too. She locked up a lot. Then I looked at, she brought up a point, and I had to go look up this too, that she said that she was the most forward-thinking prosecutor in the whole state of California. So
most progressive.
Progressive. At the end of the day, we're talking about a person whose job was to lock you up. So she did her job. So when people saying that part about it right there, I can't blame, whether I like it or not, I can't blame somebody for doing their actual job. But the part I don't like is, and I think somebody brought up in the comments, is I watched her debate with Joe Biden. She tore into him. She made it seem like he was the devil himself. But then you come right back. He chooses you to be the vice president. He's good old Joe. He's the best man in the world. See, that's when I can't believe stuff, and I understand that's just politics. And this is a political show. Joe knew having a Black woman in this climate right now, with women being on top, pushing every agenda, Black Lives Matter at the forefront. The biggest way to secure the ticket to beat Donald Trump was to get a Black woman that Republicans also can stomach, because she's hard on crime. She's married to a white man and she has a white family. So she was the perfect pick. It was other Black women out there he could have picked, but she was the perfect pick, political. So I understand this whole dog and pony show, and I don't get bothered by it either way. But I do tend to take the high road, like Chris said, and say nothing less. I mean more, because I don't want to tear her down. But I damn sure got my eye on her and all the stuff she's doing, because I do believe if you're going to be Black now, when it's time for you to benefit from it, make sure you be Black. when it's time to stand up,
Mhm.
so we can benefit from you being black when you get that seat. That's all I'm gonna say to Miss.
Yeah.
Well, this is what I want to say to black people before we close out on that subject is parties, and I'm saying this even being a conservative for so many years. What if we didn't have parties? You would be forced to actually take your time to research each candidate, because most of the time, traditional, you have people just go in there and vote all Democrat, and then you have people vote all Republican. But a lot of Republicans knew that trick, so you had somebody like Sheriff Watson up in Milwaukee, who's a Republican, but he ran Democratic because he was going to win the seat because nobody ever researched it. Second of all, I want to give something. This is for the women. I know we're on the women's movement right now, but as black people, we need to research our folks, because the DA race up in Atlanta, y'all just had one, right? Y'all had a guy that was there. He was good for the community. But guess what? They just elected the first female district attorney in that area. You know why? Because we going to make history, our first female for that position. But the reality was she was the worst person for the job because the police union backed her and her conviction rate against minorities. And I'm like, no
and
one
she over-sentenced. And she over-sentenced over 60% of the minority. You're right. That just happened. You're right.
And nobody talked about it. I'll be just saying, take your time to research these candidates. Now, what's going to happen, because I've done this, the Republicans are going to let this get close, and then they're going to bring out a whole kits and caboodles about the Democratic Party, and black people are going to be like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to stay home. I'm tired of it. Kamala made a point the other day, said, and I hope she don't do this Hillary stuff. She said, oh, yeah, when I was in college in 1986, I smoked weed. I was in my dorm room smoking weed, listening to Tupac and Snoop. Snoop and Tupac, I mean, it didn't come out to 1992, 1991. So just somebody give it advice to just keep it 100,
keep it real,
and come back and say, hey, listen, this politics, because when she said Joe Biden was the devil and he was racist and now you're on his ticket, black people understand, but just come back and be able to say, listen, I was vying for a seat, and I said something.
Well, I want to say something. We have someone in the comments that I get a lot of political information from, and this is a great page to follow if you're looking for political information. Her name is Salika. It's spelled S-A''Leica. If you want to, I think she takes the time out to give in-depth analysis on politics. So if you don't want to do the research, just simply look at her page when it's pertaining to political information, and I think you'll be in the right direction.
Well, I can honestly say we got a long time coming, and black people show up to vote every election. So don't let people get pulled into that thing right there, because the last 3 elections have been decided by working class white women. That is the real stat. So,
and like Chris, I'm optimistic before we go to the subject that maybe she understands the game more than everybody, and she is playing the game to get in to make that change. Because we also understand that America's not ready for a strong black sister to be in there with an afro. We also understand that too. That's not gonna happen. So right now, let's just hope that she just playing the game, and once she get into office, that she can get in Joe ear and get in the right people ear and make the right changes and the right suggestions that's gonna get us in the right eyeball movement in the right direction. And you know what I'm saying? Before she even get elected, I just feel like we should reserve the right to tear her down before we even see what she do yet.
Exactly.
We don't know what she's gonna do, but she can't tell us everything because then it won't work. So I tell people, just pump your brakes for a minute, let her get in the office, go vote, and then hold her accountable for what she said she's gonna do for us. That's all I'm saying.
November is a long way away, people.
I think the one thing hard that probably just put a bad taste in most mouths, because I know it did for me, is just like you said, the tearing in to Joe Biden, just saying that you side with those women, and and again, we don't know what her game plan is, but now to see you all buddy, or that front that y'all trying to show her, that ain't cool. That has everybody on his heels.
That's everybody. Every politician.
Definitely.
Everybody. That's the game of politics. To make to that seat, you can't. They created this game, so either you're gonna play it or you're gonna just get pushed to the side. So when you come in there too strong, too right, too honest, too forthcoming, or they see how you coming and they're gonna just push you out. But you at some point have to be manipulative at some level to get in, played on, and I believe that's the way you get to the top. You know what I'm saying? In that arena, in that political arena.
Yes,
Makes sense.
I agree with that.